Hello everyone, it is Tijiani here, and today I am going to talk about types of graphs according to age. As for today's presentation, I am going to give a talk about introduction, types of graphs, graph milestones, and tips to improve graphs in kids. As we all know, humans are equipped with four fingers and thumbs, which means they can grasp all kinds of objects. The fingers can flex and extend with ease, and the position of the thumb enables opposition, which allows fingers to come together in order to pick up an item. However, babies have to learn how to use their hands and coordinate their fingers to develop these functions. Initially, it appears as if babies do not recognize their own hands are a part of their little bodies. Early on, they may stare at their hands but not yet use them in an organized way. Babies often display a palmar reflex in which their fingers curl around something, usually a parent's finger, placed in their palms. This reflex becomes integrated around 4 months old and is replaced by volitional behavior, meaning the child has to intentionally initiate the action. Now let's take a look at the types of growth. So for the first 4 to 6 months old, usually babies tend to use palmar grasp. The early grasp pattern is characterized as palmar grasp. The object is stabilized against the palm as the fingers curl around it. The thumb does not yet oppose the fingers. Next, at around 6 to 8 months, the thumb becomes more involved in a radial palmar grasp. The object continues to be stabilized against the palm, but is now supported by fingers around the top and the thumb on the side. The radial thumb side of the hand is known as the precision side, meaning this grasp pattern is now more precise than before. As for at around 8 to 10 months old, a radial digital grasp typically develops, in which an object is held between the fingers and opposed thumb. The fingers are now strong and coordinated enough to hold an object without exterior stabilization from the palm. At around 10 months, an immature pincer grasp begins to emerge. A pincer grasp relies on isolated fingers and the opposed thumb to grasp an object. While emerging, a raking pattern may be noted as the child sweeps all fingers to pick up an object. Closer to 12 months old, a fine pincer grasp develops, involving the isolated index finger and thumb to pick up an object with an increased precision. And lastly, pointing grasp. At around 12 months old, finger isolation also enables pointing. This is an important foundational skill for joint attention and communication as your child points to share an exciting sight with you. Next, grasping writing utensils. A pencil or crayon grasp introduce a new set of challenges because now purposeful movement is required once the object is grasped. Consider your own pencil grasp. Even adults may do this differently. The key to an effective grasp is one that allows for dynamic finger movements to move the pencil around to write, slight wrist extension, and appropriate force so the hand does not become fatigued during writing tasks. Initially, at around 12 to 18 months, children typically rely on a palmar or ghost grasp, similar to when grasping toys. Sometimes, this is also referred to as fisted grasp because it appears as if the child is holding the crayon in the middle of a fist. This grasp does not involve finger movements to color, instead relying on less precise movements at the elbow and shoulder joints. Around 2 to 3 years old, a pronated grasp appears. Pronation refers to when the wrist is rotated to the point of the palm hand down toward the floor. A pronated grasp begins to involve the fingers as they now wrap around the crayon, but active movement continues to come mostly from the elbow joint, which is often elevated in this grasp pattern. Around 3 to 4 years old, a gross five-finger grasp develops. All of the fingers are involved in holding the writing utensil here, which may continue to limit dynamic finger movements. But it marks the first turn toward a neutral wrist position, which is no longer pronated and begins to appear similar to a functional grasp. Hand dominance typically solidifies around age of 4, so writing activities should be performed with the more consistent dominant hand. Around 4 to 5 years old, a static quadruped grasp develops. Static means that the fingers still do not actively move. Instead, writing motions are driven by the wrist, elbow, and shoulder joints. Quadruped refers to the four fingers that are involved: index, middle, ring, and thumb. Children begin to show separation of the digits of the hands as the pinky finger is not actively engaged in grasping the writing utensil. Finally, around 5 to 6 years old, the dynamic tripod grasp develops. Dynamic means that the fingers are now actively moving the writing utensil to produce written strokes. This helps prevent fatigue and increase legibility during writing tasks. Tripod refers to the three fingers involved, which is index, middle, and thumb, as the ring and pinky fingers are now separated and tucked into the palm. It is important to note that many children continue using a quadruped grasp with dynamic finger movements into adulthood. If it is functional and allows them to write efficiently and without fatigue, then there is no reason to push a tripod grasp. And lastly, let's take a look at some of the tips to improve grasping skills in kids. As an example, placing small toys in an ice cube tray to encourage use of a pencil grasp. Coloring with broken crayons to encourage use of a tripod grasp. Hide a small item under your child's pinky or ring finger to promote separation of the digits. Practice writing or coloring on a vertical surface to promote wrist extension and dynamic finger movements. Write on top of a sandpaper or using a chalkboard for added feedback to the muscles and joints. And lastly, try different pencil grips to facilitate alternative grasp patterns. Now, that is all from me. Thank you.